Hello and welcome to another episode of the F1 Breakdown podcast. My name is Jack George Maynard, the news and blog writer for any of you new viewers here at F1 Breakdown. And if there's any of you returning videos, then hello and welcome back to another podcast, as we today will be looking at the Korean Grand Prix and we'll be previewing the Japanese Grand Prix. We have currently just had the 2 practice sessions in Japan, and so we'll look at those in a minute, but I want to start off with the Korean Grand Prix. And the Korean Grand Prix was a very good Grand Prix. I really enjoyed the Korean Grand Prix. There was a lot of stuff that happened in the non-Sebastian Vettel championship race, because as most of you obviously now know, Sebastian Vettel won the Grand Prix pretty convincingly again, and he is now 77 points clear in the championship, and he could effectively win it this weekend if Fernando Alonso does not finish 9th or lower. So if Fernando Alonso finishes 9th, Sebastian Vettel wins, the championship is wrapped up. If Sebastian Vettel finishes 8th and Fernando Alonso finishes 9th, then the championship is Sebastian Vettel's. But I don't think that's very likely in happening, because on record, when does Fernando Alonso not finish higher than 9th place? Is very rare, but as we know, anything can happen in Formula 1. As look at last year at Japan, the same track that we are today at Suzuka, Fernando Alonso in the race didn't make it through the first corner because, he had his little collision with Kimi Raikkonen, them two being teammates next year, and he was out of the race, and that allowed, obviously at that time, Sebastian Vettel to catch him up significantly in the championship. So, is all to play for still? Where you say there's all to play for, 77 points, and he could win it here. There's not much to play for. So, but if we have a standard Formula 1 race, which we've been seeing lately over the last couple of months, then I think it's more than likely that Sebastian Vettel will have the title wrapped up in India in a couple of weeks' time at New Delhi. But all that aside, I want to talk about the main man of the race, which I think was Nico Hülkenberg, again putting himself in the map again for a top drive. And it's craziness that he is being overlooked by teams such as Ferrari for the drive, and maybe even Red Bull could have even considered him for the second seat at Red Bull because of Mark Webber's retirement. But I think they wanted to really just stick behind their Red Bull Young Driver Development Program, and that's why Ricciardo got the seat. But he had an amazing race. To finish 4th in a Sauber that really shouldn't be there is amazing, and to be able to fend off Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton for the majority of the end of the race was class. And he didn't look like he was under pressure. He probably was feeling the pressure because he's not in the quickest car, and he was on the radio saying the tyres are going, but I hope that the tyres will make it to the end of the race and we don't fall backwards. But he was able to hold off. He didn't lock his brakes. He didn't, make mistakes. He was cool, calm, and collective, and thoroughly deserved his 4th place. He could have easily, and he even at this restart after the second safety car, he had to he passed Lewis Hamilton, and he passed him looking like, he wasn't nervous, or he didn't think, oh my god, I'm overtaking Lewis Hamilton. It was cool and calm, no lockups, no mistakes, and that's got to be a sign to the team principals out there that he is a driver that can drive for you consistently, and he'll be consistently fast and consistently scoring you points. So, why team principals and team management do not want to take him on is a bit of a mystery. It's like teams like McLaren who were looking at him last year. Ferrari gave him a contract apparently, but then turned him down, told him that it's not, he wasn't ready or whatever, to Nico Hülkenberg. But, the signs looking good at the moment for Lotus, where Eric Boullier has come out and said that the size and weight of Nico Hülkenberg is not a problem for Lotus. So therefore, it looks like there's strong links now. They're even stronger now of him going to Lotus, which will be about time that we'll see him in a quick car for next season. Whether he'll be alongside Romain Grosjean or Felipe Massa at Lotus is another story. But that Sauber car, I'll give it due though, it's been getting better and better, but I think it's just track specification stuff, because I think they've stopped developing that car now. There's no need for it to be developed or continue to be developed in that car. So I think it's more track specification, because even Esteban Gutierrez now has also improved his game quite a lot and has become much more comfortable in the car. And, he's getting Q3 performances, Singapore notably, and in Korea. I mean, he had a good start in Korea, not locking up his brakes. He could have easily done that into turn 1 and T-boned someone, but, he had made a good start and overtook quite a few drivers into turn 1. So he's also growing as a driver as well. So the Sauber team at the moment are in a good place, and Japan is a place where they go well, with Kamui Kobayashi finishing 3rd last year. So we could be seeing another strong showing this weekend from Sauber. But that's sort of the Korean Grand Prix. The only last thing really to talk about was the Jeep on the track causing the second safety car incident. A bit of a miscommunication between the fire people and the track race control, Charlie Whiting. Apparently the fire official managed to got a big telling off basically from race control, because he decided to deploy the Jeep all by himself. Bit of a laugh, a bit surprising coming down the straight, flicking the camera and seeing a big Jeep in front of Sebastian Vettel and go, that's not the safety car. But safety car was deployed amazingly and was at the back of the grid, and caused the start of this, caused the second safety car spell, because safety car was because of the crash from the first safety car period from Mark Webber, and there was a lot of fire. So you can see why, because the fire was pretty extensive on that Red Bull car, so you can see why it was deployed. And but you have to make sure you get permission from race control. You can't just send random vehicles onto the track. So a bit of a miscommunication, but they did struggle to put the fire out for a bit, but they managed to get it under control in the end, the marshals. But it could have become dangerous, and that fire truck car might have been essential to get there as soon as it was, because if the marshals weren't able to get the fire out, worse things could have happened if that car was delayed getting out. But if he just said to Charlie Whiting, safety car please, I have to put the fire truck out onto the circuit, then I think that would have been same time as what happened from the restart. But then we probably wouldn't have had the Kimi Raikkonen move on Romain Grosjean for second place in that race if the safety car had been called, because the fire truck had gone out earlier, if they did communicate with each other. But that is basically it for the Korean Grand Prix. We now look ahead. We've had the first 2 practice sessions already this morning in Japan, and Red Bull looking already good. Japan is basically, it's a Red Bull dominant track, basically, I wouldn't say, but it's one of Sebastian Vettel's favourite tracks as well, and most of the drivers' favourite tracks. So, I expect Red Bull to do well. Their race pace this afternoon in Japan, this very early morning in the UK, was good. The pace was good, so they will be up there. The only competition they had really was from Mercedes, but we never know with Mercedes. They made strategic mistakes with Hamilton. They kept him out for too long, and then when they wanted to bring him in, obviously Rosberg then overtook him, but then his front wing failed, so Rosberg had to pit. So then Hamilton went out for an extra lap, which caused Mark Webber to get in front of him. But then because of Sergio Perez's tyre blowout, Mark Webber got a puncture, leading him to stop again, so Hamilton was able to get through, and then Mark Webber on the second restart, because of that puncture, retired after the first safety car restart. So a pretty bad weekend then for Mark Webber in Korea. But yeah, Japan, it's a bit of a Red Bull dominant circuit, so hopefully it won't be too much of a procession and a non-Sebastian Vettel race behind him, because he's not included because he's miles ahead in the race. But that is it for the Japanese sort of preview, because I have obviously some very sad news to report of the death of former Virgin Racing or Marussia test driver Maria Di Vallota, who has passed away this morning at a hotel in Seville, aged 33. She was due to have an autobiography session for her new book, Life is a Gift, that she was going to give a speech about, but unfortunately she died this morning, aged 33, which I think I said. Apparently, I'm just speculating at the moment, no cause has been named at the time of this podcast, but there are rumours already going about that she has died of natural causes, but some say that she has had a cardiac arrest, and she died of natural causes, and that cardiac came about because of the extent of the injuries suffered to her brain from the incident that she had at Duxford in Cambridgeshire in her testing crash last year, which may be a cause of why she has died this morning, but that is all speculation at the moment. It's all I've heard, and no official statement at this time, and it is a great loss for Formula One, because she was a great charity worker. She started her charity. There was pictures of it at Barcelona at her home Grand Prix, where she had thousands of children with her, and she was doing some great work there in that charity, and it's a shame. And also, she was also an ambassador for the FIA for getting women into motorsport, and she was very enthusiastic about how she wanted to make changes. And she, Manita Kaltenborg was talking to Sky Sports F1 today, saying that it's sad. She was very enthusiastic, about, and she always had a bright smile on her face, even with the eye patch that she had, because she lost her eye in the crash. If you don't know that, that she said she never looked at it as a negative thing. She always looked at it as a positive thing. And Manita Kaltenborg said that she was always wondering if her eye patch linked or was matching her clothes that she was wearing, but so she always was positive at heart and had a very strong personality to come out to the public about what she had gone through in the from her injuries, so it's a very sad day for motorsport. Obviously I didn't meet her myself, but any death in motorsport or related to motorsport is sad, and everybody's touched by it. And especially what happened last weekend in the IndyCar series with Dario Franchitti, with his life could have easily been taken because he had a very similar crash like Dan Weldon had, and crashing into the back of Formula 1 driver Takuma Sato. But so you have to remember that Formula 1 is a dangerous sport. Yes, Maria did not die. Well, her extent of her injuries that she suffered in a Formula 1 car could have eventually killed her a year and a half later, after those tragic scenes that happened at Duxford. But from that moment, it's really sad, and Formula 1 will become much stronger, and it's someone very missed, and someone that we will remark in history as someone who did a lot for the sport, for trying to get girls and females and try and open up the sport to a new audience in that retrospect. So and obviously everyone here at F1Breakdown want to obviously pay their respects to the families and friends of Maria's at this moment in time, and hopefully we will have a great race in Suzuka, and hopefully maybe her star that we wore after her crash will be on people's helmets and on people's shirts and stuff from the journalists, and on the race overalls of the drivers, in order to pay their respects for Maria this weekend, hopefully. Or maybe if not, then for India, hopefully we'll see that again. But sorry to end on such a sad note, but it has been breaking news over the past hour, so hopefully everyone knows now, and it's a sad day, but all our prayers are with Maria and her family at this time. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next podcast about the review of the Japanese Grand Prix. Thank you very much for listening.